It all started years ago, when these eerie black monuments just began falling from the sky. One slammed into the city, firing a massive beam of light that signaled the end of the world as they knew it. These things called disaster beasts broke through and started an all-out invasion, led by a monster known as the Demon of Destruction, Ringa. Humanity was caught completely off guard. Buildings were leveled, and the streets were filled with monsters. During the chaos, a young Itsuki watched a skeletal monster wreathed in blue flames kill his father right in front of him. The creature roared, its eyes glowing with that same ghostly blue fire. Itsuki's mother tried to get him to safety as the monster unleashed a vortex of flames, but she couldn't outrun it. The last thing Itsuki saw was his mother reaching out to him before the light swallowed her whole. 10 years later, Itsuki snaps out of the memory when a pink-haired girl asks if he's okay. He just brushes it off. She doesn't seem convinced, looking at him with a mix of concern and suspicion. Itsuki didn't even realize he was crying until the tear rolled down his cheek. His friend Rikuru jumps in to tease him about being half asleep before pointing out the weirdly dressed guy on the stage. Rikuru explains that after the beasts appeared, some humans gained the power to fight back. They became the Awakened. He's shocked Itsuki doesn't recognize the man on stage as Izumi Nento, the legendary commander-in-chief. Itsuki's heard the legends but didn't expect the world's strongest hero to look quite like this. He stares at the man in high-tech red armor, who supposedly taught the light of humanity himself. Nento tells the students that research shows ordinary people can awaken just by touching a monument. He's here to have the students test their luck and see who has what it takes to join the fight. With a flick of his wrist, a massive slab of the monument rises directly out of the stage. The whole school is buzzing with excitement. Every student is praying they'll be the one to change their fate. Rikuru is hyped about the chance to awaken, but Itsuki just stands there in silence, his face hidden in shadow. He starts walking forward, ignoring the line and his friend's confused shouts. The girl watches his back, sensing something is very wrong as his eyes begin to glow a menacing red. Itsuki's got a dark smirk on his face. He'd been waiting for the chance to get his revenge for a long time. The first student touches the stone and gets nothing. The guard just tells him to move along. The students start to worry. If even the school's top athletes are failing, what chance do they have? The line moves fast. Next. No one is having any luck. The crowd is losing hope. Not a single person has managed to trigger the awakening. That's when the guard calls up a guy named Oishi Hikaru. The students groan. Oishi's a habitual bully, and they're terrified of what he'll do if he actually gets powers. But the stone finally reacts. Blue lightning arches across the surface as Oishi makes contact. Oishi's stats pop up, revealing he's an elementalist with a total score of 12. It's an incredible result for a level 0. Nento's assistant reports the find back to headquarters, noting that a score of 12 is well above average. Oishi is already letting it go to his head, demanding that Nento acknowledge his new strength. He's in the middle of his victory lap when Itsuki just shoves him aside. Oishi is absolutely fuming that some random kid just interrupted his big moment. The other students are stunned. Cutting in line in front of the school's first awakened is basically social suicide. Up on the stage, Nento watches the boy closely. He can sense a massive amount of raw emotion pouring out of him. Itsuki reaches for the stone, his mind filled with the hatred he's been holding onto for the last decade. A massive, glowing, spectral figure appears behind him, its eyes burning with the same red light as Itsuki's. The second he touches the monument, a colossal pillar of teal light shaped like a lotus flower erupts toward the sky. The entire school grounds are flooded with the brilliant glow. Itsuki didn't just awaken, he just broke the system. The students can't believe their eyes. This pillar of light is way more massive than anything Oishi produced. Choha identifies it as the Order Breaker phenomenon, a sign of the rarest job in existence. Even Nento is curious to see what this kid can do. Oishi is absolutely fuming. He was supposed to be the star, and now he's being overshadowed. In his mind, Itsuki is just as confused, wondering where he is and if he actually succeeded. His status screen pops up, but it's a total shock. He's stuck at level 0 permanently, and every single one of his stats is at rock bottom. But then, his special grade gift Nirvana kicks in. It adds 200 points to every stat across the board, giving him a total of 800. On top of that, he gains a Z-rank analysis skill called Overmimesis. Itsuki realizes he doesn't need to level up the traditional way. He can forge his own path to power. Back in reality, the light is so blinding that the students have to shield their eyes. Choha is stunned. 800 total stats for a rookie is unheard of. Nento admits that this boy is already the strongest rookie in history. Itsuki stands tall amidst the fading petals of light. He's no longer the helpless kid from 10 years ago. The crowd goes wild, cheering for the school's new legendary student. Every cheer for Itsuki feels like a slap in the face to Oishi. He's reaching his breaking point. He loses it and launches himself at Itsuki, screaming that a loser should stay a loser. He charges forward, cloaked in his newly awakened lightning skill, Silver Serpent. Itsuki doesn't even flinch. He just stands there, watching Oishi come at him. Over mimesis starts crunching the data. The analysis speed is lightning fast, hitting 69% in seconds. A sudden discharge of electricity fills the air, and Itsuki completely vanishes from Oishi's sight. The students are baffled. 1 second he was right there, and the next, he's gone. Oishi freezes as he feels a cold presence looming right behind him. He can't even move his legs. Itsuki whispers that Oishi should be glad he's human. If he were a monster, he'd already be dead 100 times over. Oishi collapses in a heap, and the students start laughing, mocking him for being so scared he can't even stand. The analysis hits 99%. Itsuki is impressed by how quickly he can dissect a C-rank skill. Analysis complete. Itsuki acquires Thunderbreaker, and his body is instantly enveloped in a much more powerful current. The light is so intense that one of the students is actually glad he brought his sunglasses today. Itsuki finds himself back in that quiet mental space as the system finishes the integration. Thunderbreaker doesn't just give him lightning powers, it boosts all his stats and even fully heals any injuries. The students are in awe. Itsuki's lightning is visibly brighter and more intense than anything Oishi could muster. With the new skill, Itsuki's total stats jump again, hitting a staggering 840. The celebration is cut short when the sky suddenly turns gray and it starts raining out of nowhere. But that isn't rain. Another black monument is hurtling toward the school. Nento immediately cancels the assembly and orders everyone to evacuate as part of their emergency drills. Choha realizes this isn't a random event. The school itself is the target of the invasion. Nento tells Choha they need to stay cool, pointing out that the boy is already more composed than they are. While every other student is running for their lives, Itsuki is the only one walking toward the danger. The monument crashes into the courtyard, kicking up a massive cloud of debris. Rikuru and the pink-haired girl scream at Itsuki to run, but he just tells them that he's going to exterminate every single one of the beasts. They try to stop him, reminding him that he literally just awakened and is in no condition to fight a disaster beast alone. Itsuki gives them a look of absolute confidence and tells them to just trust him. Seeing they can't change his mind, Rikuru and the girl are forced to leave him behind as the area becomes a war zone. Itsuki watches them go, a dark smirk playing on his lips as his left eye begins to glow, a sinister red. A massive skeletal monster emerges from the dust, and Itsuki recognizes it instantly. It's the same creature that murdered his parents. He stares down the level 8 skeleton soldier, declaring himself lucky to finally have his target in his sights. Itsuki's ready to test out the new trick he just picked up. He charges forward, lightning crackling all around him. He's not about to let anyone else die today. The lightning strike connects, right in the skeleton soldier's chest. The force of the impact sends the monster crashing straight into the school building. The crowd is losing it. They can't believe a brand new rookie just sent a high-level beast flying. Izumi Nento watches from the sidelines, noting that while the boy is strong, this monster isn't a pushover. The beast unleashes bone fire, a skill meant to turn anything it touches into ash. Itsuki's friends scream out for him to get away. Instead, he takes the hit head-on, using the pain to kick his analysis skill into high gear. Even Choha is shocked. Taking a direct hit from that flame should have been a death sentence. Itsuki grits his teeth as the fire eats away at him, his analysis climbing with every second of agony. The blue flames bring back a painful memory of his mother's final moments. Izumi realizes the kid is still holding something back. Itsuki tells the beast its time is up as the analysis finally hits 100%. The spectators are divided. Some think he's finished, while others are hoping for one more miracle. He wonders what kind of power he's about to gain this time. He picks up a B-rank skill called Black Wall, which fully heals his body and gives his stats a massive boost. He stands tall, completely restored and surrounded by a strange blue aura. His classmates cheer, relieved that he's actually alive after that blast. Choha is baffled. The kid is switching between lightning and self-healing like it's nothing. She starts to wonder if there's even a limit to how much he can recover from. The skeleton soldier doesn't back down and charges in for another round. Itsuki stands his ground, activating his brand new ice armor. The blue flames wash over him, but this time, they can't get through. Sheltered by the ice, he stares down the monster with cold determination. He strikes back with a massive surge of power that shatters the ground. Clad in his jagged ice armor, he looks like a completely different person. He moves so fast it looks like he's teleporting, appearing right behind the beast in a flash. The other students can barely even track his movement with their eyes. Even the pros are stunned. His speed is way beyond what a rookie should be capable of. He generates solid ice weapons, combining offense and defense in one divine skill. With the fight over, Itsuki stands among the rubble, looking remarkably calm. His friend Rikuru rushes over and gives him a huge hug, nearly crying with relief. Itsuki looks around and asks where Saya is. Rikuru explains she didn't come over and looked like she was about to burst into tears. Izumi tells Choha to handle the cleanup because he's got plans for the boy. Rikuru tries to reassure him, saying Saya is probably just worried about falling behind. Itsuki turns as the legendary hero approaches him. Izumi stands right in front of him, acknowledging him by name. The crowd can't believe it. Izumi Nento hasn't taken a student since the world's strongest hero, Teiwajin. Rikuru heads off to find Saya, leaving Itsuki to deal with the legend. Izumi Nento tells him straight up that he's special. Itsuki doesn't quite get what the legend sees in him. The hero can sense the raw anger and hatred simmering inside the boy. He wants to know exactly where all that dark energy is coming from. Itsuki doesn't hide it. He tells him about the day 10 years ago when disaster beasts killed his parents. He was just a kid, forced to watch the nightmare unfold. An awakened showed up just in time to save him, but his mother was already gone. Her final words were a plea for him to keep moving forward on his own. The loss was more than any child should have to handle. He was left with nothing but a broken heart and a lot of questions. In that moment, he saw the face of the demon responsible, the root of all evil. He made a vow that day to hunt down and slaughter every last one of those monsters. Even now, the memory is enough to make him snap. Izumi is surprised to see tears, wondering how a heart that full of hate can still feel anything at all. Itsuki explains his left eye went dry the day his mother died, but his right eye never stopped crying. Seeing his potential, Izumi offers to mentor him and get him into the Salvation League to help him get his revenge. The League is the elite army of Awakened, known to the world as saviors. They get the best gear and huge paychecks, but the life of a savior is anything but easy. It's a job where you're constantly on the front lines, putting your life on the line for everyone else. Itsuki doesn't give a damn about the money or the fame. All he wants is the chance to be at the front, tearing those beasts apart. He asks what the highest record in the League's history is. The record is a staggering 115,000 points, set 11 years ago. The man who said it was Teiwajin, the legendary light of humanity. Izumi tells him that comparing himself to a god like Teiwajin usually leads to despair. But Itsuki isn't intimidated. He's ready to surpass the legend himself. Teiwajin's power was so absolute that he became a symbol for an entire generation. But Izumi knows that just following in a legend's footsteps won't win this war. He's been waiting for a new light to emerge and replace the old one. He leads Itsuki to a massive, high-tech dome sitting on the edge of the city. These domes are built around monuments portals that connect their world to the realm of the beasts. By keeping the monsters trapped inside, the Awakened can use them for combat training. Itsuki realizes it's basically a controlled slaughterhouse for practice. This specific dome is called the Rookie's Graveyard because of how many new fighters die inside. Back when Teiwajin was just starting out, he cleared this whole stage in just over 3 minutes. Izumi tells Itsuki that if he wants to be the best, he's got a timer to beat. If he can clear the stage in under 3 minutes, Izumi will officially take him on as a student. People are losing their minds seeing the legendary Izumi Nento walking through the lobby. They're all wondering who the random kid tagging along behind him is. Some think the rumors about a high-level rookie are true, but others aren't buying it. There's no way a total nobody could keep pace with a guy on Teiwajin's level. Tenma Itsuki stares at the display for the level 10 stage. He's comparing it to the skeleton soldier he fought, trying to gauge just how much of a jump this is going to be. The whispers don't stop as he keeps moving. Most of these guys think he's just some cocky kid with a decent face who's here to pick up girls instead of actually fighting. Itsuki reaches the counter and tells the receptionist he's here for the stage. She puts on a professional smile and asks how many people are in his party. He doesn't even blink when he tells her he's going in solo. The receptionist's patience snaps instantly. She thinks he's just trying a pathetic pickup line and warns him that this artificial stage is still a place where people actually die. The crowd in the back starts cracking up. They've seen plenty of guys try to use the dungeon as a dating spot, and they're waiting for him to get shut down and sent home. Itsuki isn't having any of it. He looks her dead in the eye and tells her he has zero interest in her. He's just here to fight. She figures he's just embarrassed because he got caught and tries to bail him out by offering her number if he'll just go home and stop being a hero. That dark look comes back into Itsuki's eyes. He tells her one last time that he doesn't care about her info and to just let him in. Seeing the cold intensity on his face, she finally backs off and hands over the entry bracelet, warning him not to blame her when things go south. Itsuki snaps the bracelet on, ignoring the guys behind him who think he's a total moron for turning down a date with the cute receptionist. As he walks toward the gate, the bets are already being placed on how fast he'll come running back out. They don't think his special grade gift will mean anything if his level is trash. He stands in front of the massive entrance, letting the system read the data on his wrist. The scan clears, and the entry for Tenma Itsuki is officially approved. He takes a deep breath and cracks his knuckles. The goal was to clear this in under 3 minutes, so there's no time to waste. He lunges forward, disappearing into the portal with a burst of speed. The stage shifts into a dense forest. This might be Itsuki's first time in an artificial stage, but he's already focused on the hunt. A level 4 Kodama leaps out from the brush, its wooden teeth gnashing, but Itsuki's system is already breaking down its stats. He doesn't even need a real weapon to slice through the first wave like they're made of paper. He manifests a massive ice axe and taunts the remaining monsters, mocking them for watching their friends get cut in half. More of the wooden beasts surround him, but they're just fodder for what he's planning next. Back in the observation room, Choha asks Izumi why he picked this specific stage when there are much easier ones for a rookie. Izumi admits he wants to see if the kid meant it when he said he'd surpass Jin. He brought him to the exact same stage Jin first challenged to see the difference. Choha remembers seeing Jin in action. He wasn't just strong, he was something else entirely when he wiped out a level 97 beast in an instant. Those eyes were the scariest part. They weren't the eyes of a person, they were cold and solitary. To her, Jin was more like a godlike existence that had completely transcended humanity. Izumi notes that while Itsuki has that same potential, he's still just an unpolished gemstone right now. But if Jin is a god who saves people, Choha sees something else in Itsuki, a demon consumed by pure hatred. Itsuki stands among the splintered remains of the first wave. He's disappointed that his overmimesis skill won't even trigger against enemies this week. That's when a massive shadow looms over him, its red eyes glowing with a much higher level of malice. Itsuki reacts instantly, narrowly dodging a strike as the real fight begins. He lands a heavy blow and watches the beast crumble, wondering if that was really all a level 10 had to offer. He's genuinely underwhelmed, thinking that if this is what people call the rookie's graveyard, it's a joke. But something catches his eye. The creature's mangled body starts knitting itself back together. Itsuki's system pings. It's a B-rank self-regeneration skill. Analysis is finally underway. He's facing a regenerated Kodama now. Its stats are way higher, but its defense is halved to compensate for the healing. Itsuki doesn't hesitate and activates his black wall. He drops from the air with a flurry of strikes, watching the analysis bar climb to 17%. He needs to keep the pressure on so it can't recover. The speed of his attacks increases, pushing the progress to 19% then 21% as he carves through the monster's wooden armor. The beast's eyes flare up as it tries to heal through the damage, but Itsuki isn't letting up. He gets a wild, almost manic look on his face. If it wants to regenerate, he'll just have to mince it into so many pieces that there's nothing left to heal. Itsuki delivers a devastating blow, splitting the massive wooden beast right down the center. He's breathing hard, realizing that keeping his black wall defense active for this long is absolutely gutting his magic reserves. The regenerated Kodama isn't done yet, lashing out with a chaotic storm of wooden tentacles that fill the entire field of vision. Itsuki weaves through the attacks, watching the analysis bar hit 60%. It's a pain that the thing won't just stay dead, but every time it heals, his overmimesis skill gathers data even faster. He decides to switch tactics. He'll drop the black wall to save mana and use Thunderbreaker to stay out of reach while the timer counts down. The analysis is at 75%, but the 3-minute stage limit is breathing down his neck. He's running out of room to play it safe. He turns up the heat, activating both skills at once to force the beast into a constant cycle of damage and regeneration. The analysis bar reaches 80%. Itsuki knows he's gambling everything. If his skill doesn't kick in when his mana hits 0, he's as good as dead. The risk is insane, but he's already pushed the analysis to 85% while trading blows with the monster. His eyes glow with a fierce red light. He's accepted the terms. If he dies here, then that's just the limit of what he was worth. He coughs up blood as the last of his magic drains away. The gamble seems to have failed at the worst possible moment. Massive wooden spikes erupt from the ground, impaling him from every angle. The analysis bar is stuck at 99%. But a cold smile spreads across his face. Overmimesis doesn't need Manhwa to activate. 100% complete. A massive blue energy lotus blooms around him, shattering the wooden spikes. He successfully analyzed the regeneration and unlocked a new skill, Lotus Burst. This isn't just an attack. It has a terrifying passive effect. Every time he kills a creature with it, his skill ranges grow permanently by 1%. The Lotus pulses with power, instantly closing his wounds and boosting all of his stats by 20. He's standing in the center of the explosion, completely refreshed. The regenerated Kodama stares into the glowing light, realizing too late that the predator has finally evolved. Lotus Burst erupts in a blinding flash, incinerating everything in its path. Itsuki stands in the wreckage, his clothes in tatters but his body completely healed. He's impressed with the new power, especially since it somehow restored his empty mana pool. He looks over the massive crater he just created. With only a third of his magic, he wiped out everything. Lower-level beasts won't even be a warm-up from now on. He stands alone in the settling dust, looking down at the core left behind by the level 10 beast. Out in the lobby, the receptionist is frantic. The timer is at 2 minutes and 9 seconds, and there's still no sign of the rookie coming out. Choha watches the monitor with a grim expression, convinced that clearing a stage like this within the time limit is simply impossible for a human. She's stunned into silence when the status changes. He actually did it. The board flashes green, revealing the final time, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Itsuki didn't just win, he shattered the previous record held by Tewajin by a full minute. The portal opens, and Itsuki walks out into the lobby, covered in blood and grime but looking completely unfazed. The crowd is absolutely speechless. They're staring at a level 0 rookie who just accomplished the impossible, and the green blood on his clothes is proof of the slaughter. He walks straight up to the masked figure of Izumi Nento and asks if he's finally earned the right to be coached. A small, satisfied smile plays on Itsuki's lips as he stares down his teacher. Izumi praises him, and Choha can't believe her eyes. She hasn't seen her father figure this genuinely happy in years. The people in the back are starting to put the pieces together. If he's Izumi Nento's student, then the record-breaking feat actually makes sense. The receptionist approaches him, red-faced and bowing. She presents him with an ornate box, a special reward for breaking the stage record. She apologizes for being rude earlier, but Itsuki just shrugs it off, telling her he knows she was only worried for a stranger's life. She blushes even harder as he takes the gift and gives a simple thanks. Choha's patience is already wearing thin, and she shouts for him to stop wasting time and get moving. She tells him not to let the success go to his head, then immediately suggests they raise the difficulty since level 10 was apparently too easy. Izumi agrees, telling Itsuki that it's time he moved on to the advanced stages. As they walk away from the facility at sunset, Izumi explains that a monster's level is only half the story. Most disaster beasts are just mindless animals that move on pure instinct, making them predictable and easy to manage. But the ones in the advanced stages are different. They're intelligent disaster beasts, and they're far more dangerous than anything he's faced so far. Choha adds that these creatures are essentially the same as awakened humans. They have different stats based on their species and can even hold special jobs. Their next destination is North District 4, where the concentration of these intelligent beasts is at its highest. Tenma Itsuki's gaze is cold and calculating, his eyes glowing with an intense blue light as he reflects on his previous battles. He wonders if the intelligent disaster beasts in the higher districts possess pain receptors, or if they'll be as stoic as the mindless ones he just slaughtered. Choha recoils, her face pale as she senses a suffocating aura radiating from the young man. She can only wonder what kind of dark, twisted thoughts are swirling behind those glowing eyes. Back in the lobby, the atmosphere is heavy with dread as the other hunters whisper about the dangers of North District 4. It's a place where advanced stages are the norm and where any awakened who enters risks vanishing without a trace. Shh, he might hear you, one hunter warns, frantically covering his friend's mouth. The mere mention of Kinoshita Reiji's name is enough to send a wave of terror through the room. Rumor has it he's responsible for the disappearances of any who dared challenge his territory. Miles away, the man in question, Kinoshita Reiji, reclines in luxury. As the son of the North District 4 governor, he treats everyone around him like dirt, even allowing an elderly servant to polish his boots while he sips fine wine. When his hulking bodyguard asks about their departure, Reiji just gives a dismissive smirk. He isn't in any rush, as far as he's concerned. Every stage in the district belongs to him, and he'll grace them with his presence on his own schedule. Waiting in line is what commoners do, he sneers, his arrogance practically dripping off the page. He clearly has no idea that a certain level 0 hunter is currently on a collision course with his personal kingdom. Itsuki pops open a fancy wooden box, and there's a glowing crystal sitting inside. Back at the garden, Itsuki recognizes the stone immediately from the dungeon he just cleared. Izumi asks if he's ever seen a karma stone before as the boy inspects the small, shining shard. Itsuki remembers a much larger green crystal dropping right after he took down those monsters. The color matches, but Itsuki can tell this one feels a bit different. Choha is completely shocked. Finding an intermediate stone in a beginner zone is basically unheard of. Since he's still new to all this, Choha explains that these are essentially condensed experience points. When a beast or an awakened dies, their essence leaves their body and turns into karma. Usually, you just absorb it to level up, so finding it crystallized like this isn't a normal occurrence. She suspects this anomaly happened specifically because of Itsuki's unique gift. Izumi mentions the standard level up process while watching the boy closely. Itsuki looks a bit confused by the whole concept of a gift. Izumi explains that even though Itsuki killed those beasts, his level didn't budge, meaning the karma wasn't absorbed. Usually, if the killer can't take it, someone else nearby does, like how the teachers absorbed the karma from the school attack. But inside that closed stage, there was nobody else to take it, so it just clumped together into that stone. Choha is baffled. If he can't level up at all, she doesn't understand how he's supposed to get any stronger. The girl apologizes for the oversight, while Izumi just watches the student in silence. Izumi tells him to either keep it or sell it, then mentions he's leaving for a big global meeting. Before he goes, he gives Itsuki 4 strict rules, including acting on his own sense of justice without hesitation. Itsuki gives a confident smirk, fully accepting the challenge. Cut to the North District training grounds where some heavy-duty guards are blocking the entrance. The students are pissed because they were there first, but the guards say the place is reserved for a rich kid. One guy tries to pull rank and report them, but a massive shadow starts looming over him. Before he can even finish his sentence, the guy gets absolutely flattened by a single strike. His buddy can't believe it. His B-rank defensive skill didn't even leave a mark. Oga Takaru steps out, his face completely turned to metal. He didn't feel a thing. The student realizes he's dealing with a literal monster. Oga isn't finished yet and grabs the guy right by the face. He slams him into the ground with enough force to make him cough up blood. The crowd is terrified. Oga is a level 12 elite, and he just wrecked 2 guys without breaking a sweat. The bully warns everyone else that nobody enters this stage without permission from his boss. He hoists the guy up by the throat, and nobody in the crowd is brave enough to step in. The other guards just laugh, telling Oga to take it easy so they don't get reported. Oga just tosses the student aside like he's a piece of trash. Suddenly, Itsuki steps in and catches the student before he hits the ground. Everyone is stunned. They see Itsuki's level 0 rank and assume he's got a death wish. Oga is losing his patience and tells the newbie to get lost if he doesn't want to end up the same way. Itsuki keeps it cool, realizing he's got to go through this guy to get inside. Choha tries to call for backup. Itsuki tells her to put the phone away. He's got the green light from his teacher to handle things his way. He hands the injured student over to Choha and tells her to take care of the treatment. Itsuki stands his ground, a dark energy radiating from him as Oga tries to figure out who this kid is. Despite being 12 levels higher, Oga starts feeling an intense pressure he can't explain. Oga Takaru's eyes bulge in shock. Even with all his strength, he didn't see the kid move. The guard's eye reflects Itsuki closing the gap at a speed that shouldn't be possible. Itsuki lands a heavy blow, but a metallic clang echoes through the training ground. The students watching are stunned, unable to believe a level 0 is keeping up with an elite guard. Oga just smirks, his face glowing with a cold, metallic sheen. He didn't even budge. The bully laughs, mocking Itsuki for thinking such a weak hit would work against his C-rank defense. Itsuki backs off, acknowledging the guard's impressive speed in activating his defense. But he notes that the guy's power is lacking, dodging another heavy-handed swing. Itsuki realizes he needs to step it up, activating his Thunderbreaker skill to further boost his own agility. He wonders if the guard is a big enough threat to trigger his special analysis skill. As the system progress bar ticks up, Itsuki decides to target the parts of the guard's body that aren't turned to metal. Oga continues his taunting, calling Itsuki a weakling who's got no real power to back up his speed. That's exactly what Itsuki wanted. He baits the guard into dropping his guard and kicks his speed into overdrive. Lightning crackles around Itsuki as he launches a flurry of high-speed strikes. The guard can't even see where the hits are coming from as the analysis percentage climbs higher. The spectators are in awe, realizing they might actually see an elite get taken down by a rookie. Oga is panicking, unable to find an opening to harden his body as the barrage of punches continues. Blood sprays from the guard's mouth as he screams for his teammates to stop watching and help. Desperate, Oga realizes he has no choice but to use his ultimate move. As the analysis hits 88%, the guard manages to turn his entire body into solid, gleaming metal. Oga laughs, thanking Itsuki for pushing him to finally master full-body metallization. He boasts that his defense has now skyrocketed past 500, making him practically invincible. With a cruel grin, the guard promises to let Itsuki die an easy death as a reward for helping him evolve. The students watching are losing hope, certain that nobody at their level can break through that kind of defense. Itsuki just smirks, already deducing that maintaining such a form must be draining the guard's magic reserves. Oga is annoyed that the kid is still so calm, even as the analysis hits 99%. Itsuki tells him he's not interested in a long, drawn-out battle. He's going to end this right now. The analysis hits 100%, and a massive blue lotus bloom starts to manifest around the boy. The spectators are baffled by the strange skill, wondering how a non-offensive move could possibly beat a human tank. Itsuki reviews his new skill, Clear Orb, an attack that completely ignores the enemy's defense. He knows the flight speed is slow, but against a stationary target who thinks he's invulnerable, it's perfect. Itsuki stands tall inside the glowing petals, ready to release his trump card. He summons a small, swirling sphere of energy and tells the guard to try and dodge it. The crowd is leaning in, desperate to see if a level 0 can actually break the world's rules. The orb detaches and starts drifting toward the metallic guard at a snail's pace. Itsuki's allies watch with bated breath as the tiny projectile slowly closes the gap. The students are let down, calling the move a complete disappointment. Oga just stands there with his arms crossed, laughing at the pathetic little ball coming his way. He tells Itsuki that if this is his best shot, then he really is just a naive rookie. The guard makes one final boast, telling the kid he's about to die a pathetic death. Suddenly, his metallic body shatters as the orb passes straight through his chest like it wasn't even there. As the guard collapses in a pool of blood, Itsuki coldly reminds him that he warned him to dodge. Tenma Itsuki looks back at the crowd, telling them to stop staring and get the injured man to a hospital immediately. He has no intention of sticking around to chat with people who just watched the bullying happen. Oga Takaru is carried away by his associates, his pride as an elite guard shattered. The other students are in disbelief, Choha among them, realizing Itsuki actually won against a higher-level opponent. Suddenly, the students who were previously mocking him are now eager to team up, hoping to ride his coattails. They warn him that the Flaming Rock execution ground is full of disaster beasts with defense as high as Oga's. Itsuki's eyes narrow. To him, enemies with high defense are the perfect targets to power up his skills. He knows that every time he defeats an opponent with higher defense using Clear Orb, its flight speed will increase. Without a second thought, Itsuki tells them plainly that he's going in alone. The students are taken aback, assuming his victory has made him far too arrogant for his own good. They decide he's too high maintenance and start looking for other team members instead. Choha walks up to him, concerned that his magic won't last against so many high-defense enemies. She tries to hide her worry behind an excuse about her father, but her blush gives her away. She gives him a final piece of advice. The Stone Tribe has no intelligence, but they move in dangerous groups. Itsuki steps up to the gate, and the system confirms his entry into the advanced stage. He enters the zone, immediately noticing that the number of enemies is even higher than he anticipated. Massive rock creatures emerge from the cliffs, their stone bodies crackling with power. The system identifies them as level 9 stone statues with a gift that converts all magic into defense. Itsuki doesn't waste time, extending his hand to test if these creatures meet the conditions for his passive skill. He calls out, "Clear Orb," and the purple-tinted sphere manifests with a vibrant, lotus-like glow. The orb punches straight through a statue, instantly defeating it and granting a 100% speed boost to the skill. "Just as I thought," Itsuki mutters, satisfied with how quickly his plan is coming together. More stone statues roar as they charge toward him, their heavy footfalls shaking the ground. He sees them as nothing more than prey, perfect for farming because of their slow movement and low evasion. Another creature falls to his orb, further increasing its flight speed, but Itsuki notes his magic is dropping fast. With only 2 shots left and 3 enemies remaining, including a boss, he has to be efficient. He positions himself to line up the remaining statues, intending to pierce through both with a single shot. A red light flashes in his eye as he focuses, his grin cold and predatory. He releases the orb, which now flies with significantly more force and speed than before. The statues crumble, but the mental and physical toll of running low on magic begins to weigh on him. The system updates. Clear Orb's flight speed has increased by 500%, making it fast enough to hit moving targets. Suddenly, the ground beneath him erupts as a massive shadow looms over the battlefield. Rocks and dust spray everywhere as something much larger and more dangerous makes its entrance. A level 15 giant stone man towers over him, possessing nearly double the defense of the regular statues. Itsuki reacts instantly, activating Thunderbreaker to boost his agility by 50% so he can dodge the giant's reach. He gazes up at the mountain of stone, wondering if his current orb is enough to take down such a titan. He decides that a direct hit to the head is his best chance at ending the fight quickly. Launching himself into the air, he brings the glowing orb close to the giant's glowing yellow eye. But he realizes too late that the orb's small size might not deal enough structural damage to the massive beast. The giant swings a massive fist, catching Itsuki in a vulnerable position while he's still in midair. He quickly deploys Black Wall, a defensive skill that creates a dark barrier to absorb the crushing impact. As he's sent flying, the system detects the giant's gigantification skill and starts the over-mimesis process. Tenma Itsuki smirks as he realizes the giant's massive size comes from a skill, making his job a lot simpler than he thought. Far from the battlefield, a guard in a high-rise office nearly drops his phone in shock at the news he's just received. Kinoshita Reiji adjusts his glasses, his red eyes flashing with annoyance as he tells his subordinate to keep it down. The guard quickly bows in apology, but Reiji is more interested in the report that has caused such a stir. The man explains that an unknown intruder has defeated Oga and is currently storming through the advanced stage. Reiji finds the news hard to believe, knowing Oga's legendary defense usually stops anyone under level 30 dead in their tracks. His subordinate points out that all the high-ranking adventurers are currently busy dealing with the recent monument surges. Reiji scoffs at the idea of a level 10 rookie beating one of his top men, suspecting there's more to the story. He decides it's time to handle matters personally, confident that his own presence will end any threat the intruder poses. A sinister glow lights up Reiji's eye as he commands his team to move out immediately, his patience exhausted. The guard sweats under the intense pressure of his master's gaze, offering no further arguments. Reiji dresses for battle, vowing to make anyone who dares to cross the Kinoshita family pay a heavy price. Back at the Flaming Rock execution ground, Itsuki stands amidst a swirling blue energy, feeling a sudden surge of power. The system confirms that the analysis of the giant's B-rank gigantification skill is finally 100% complete. Instead of copying the skill, the system uses the data to upgrade Itsuki's Clear Orb to level 2, unlocking a powerful new feature. He notices that the passive speed boost has doubled, but more importantly, he can now manipulate the size of his orb using magic. Along with the skill upgrade, all of Itsuki's stats receive a significant boost, and his injuries begin to vanish. Itsuki decides to test his new ability immediately, pouring every last drop of his magic into a single, massive clear orb. The enormous sphere of energy slams into the giant stone man with incredible force, dwarfing the beast that once loomed over him. As the giant crumbles into dust, Itsuki smirks with satisfaction, wondering if he might have overdone it just a little. Itsuki just finished off a level 15 giant stone man. The system notification pops up. His clear orb flight speed just jumped by 200%. He looks down at the glowing crystal in his hand, doing the math. If he clears this stage a couple more times, that orb is going to be moving as fast as a car. As he walks through the dust, he realizes he's been sleeping on these passive effects. They're actually kind of broken. A smug grin creeps onto his face. He knows his Lotus Burst passive expands the range of all his skills. He starts imagining the possibilities. If he keeps stacking that range buff, he could eventually snipe disaster beasts from miles away without them even seeing him. The stage exit terminal lights up green. He just set a new record, 3 minutes and 1 second. Outside in the hub, the other hunters are losing their minds. A 5-person party usually takes 10 minutes, but this guy just shattered the previous record solo. They can't believe a level 0 just pulled that off. Itsuki steps out of the portal looking like he just went for a casual stroll, only a little dust on his clothes. Choha is waiting for him, looking pretty impressed. She notices he doesn't have a single scratch on him. Itsuki just shrugs it off. He tells her the monsters inside were just weak against defense, so taking them down was a breeze. A glowing green butterfly flutters around Choha. Itsuki's eyes widen. He's never seen anything like it. She strikes a pose and explains she's a Shikigami user. This little butterfly is her summoned companion. Itsuki is mesmerized as he reaches out toward it. He's heard of Shikigami before, but seeing one up close, he has to admit it's beautiful. This gets him thinking. He asks Choha what other kinds of awakened jobs are out there besides his own. She looks a bit surprised that he doesn't know the basics. She holds up 3 fingers and says there are 4 main types. First up are the elementalists. These guys are the most common and can control one of the 7 elements, like fire or lightning. We get a quick flash of a lightning user in action. This job usually has the highest floor for combat strength. Then there are the physical types, like that Oga guy he dealt with earlier, high defense and raw power. The second type is the Shikigami user. They summon spirits that obey only them, often far more powerful than the summoner themselves. A status window pops up for Choha. She's a level 6 Shikigami user with a grade 2 gift. She finishes her pitch and asks if he's following along so far. Itsuki doesn't hold back. He points out that her level is actually lower than her own Shikigami and asks if she's really supposed to be a veteran. Choha looks like she just took physical damage from his bluntness. The kid has zero filter. She sighs and explains that Shikigami gain their own experience and level up independently. It's normal for them to be higher level than their masters. Itsuki's eyes go dark as he processes this. He concludes that if he ever fights a Shikigami user, it's way faster to just target the person instead of the summon. Choha gets a chill down her spine. The way he just casually analyzes how to kill people is seriously creeping her out. He ignores her reaction and asks about the rest. She's only mentioned 2 so far. She composes herself and tells him the third job is the most mysterious because there's so little public info on them. It's his own job, the Order Breaker. What makes them so weird is that every single Order Breaker has completely different abilities. Like his blue lotus flowers, for example. Some can change their size at will, while others can create an infinite number of clones of themselves. While regular skills rank from C to S, Order Breakers have Z-rank skills. These things exist completely outside the normal power framework. She warns him that because their skills are unique, Order Breakers are prime targets. If an enemy figures out how your skill works, you lose your biggest advantage. She adds that Itsuki is an outlier even for them. He can use at least 3 skills, and 2 of them are usually exclusive to elementalists. Itsuki stays quiet, realizing he needs to be careful. He's in trouble if she keeps digging into how his powers work. He changes the subject and asks about the 4th and final job. Choha just puts a finger to her lips. She tells him she'll let him know once he actually sees it. It's her little way of getting back at him for being so secretive. Itsuki just gives her a look. She brushes it off and mentions that the students he rescued are all safe and sound. She asks what his plan is now. Itsuki looks back at the portal. He wants to go back in and clear the stage again. Choha tells him to slow down. He doesn't even know about stage cooldowns. This one is locked for at least 2 days. Itsuki looks disappointed. He asks her if there's another stage nearby that's absolutely crawling with disaster beasts. Choha gets a mischievous look and points him toward a new challenge. If he wants monsters, she knows just the place. Choha breaks down the details of the stage, the locust wasteland. The monsters aren't high level, but there are thousands of them, at least 100 in sight at any given time. She asks him how he plans to handle a swarm without any area of effect skills. Itsuki just smiles to himself, knowing he hasn't shown her Lotus Burst yet. Choha is still skeptical, but Itsuki tells her not to worry. He's got this. The other hunters watching from the side think he's either incredibly brave or just suicidal. They're more worried about the storm brewing with Kinoshita Reiji. They decide to clear out of the area before they get caught in the inevitable crossfire. It's better to be safe than sorry when powerful families are involved. Reiji is currently having a total meltdown. It's only been 30 minutes, and he's just heard that Itsuki cleared the Flaming Rock stage already. He feels like Itsuki is intentionally making a fool of him. The disrespect is more than his ego can take. His subordinates report there isn't a single trace of magic left behind, which shouldn't be possible. Reiji orders them to contact the Hound to hunt the kid down. Reiji wants him brought back alive. He's already dreaming up ways to make Itsuki's life a living hell. Meanwhile, in a dark alley, a terrified assassin is trying to hide. He realizes too late that accepting a job against Reiji was the biggest mistake of his life. He's panting, thinking his earth escape technique actually saved him from the monster chasing him. He leans against a wall, finally letting his guard down now that he thinks he's in the clear. Suddenly, a massive, snarling wolf head lunges out of the shadows with glowing red eyes. The beast sinks its teeth into the guy's shoulder, pinning him to the ground as he screams in pain. A man in a wide-brimmed hat walks up and calmly tells the wolf, Death, to ease up a bit. The guy might have something useful to say. The victim is shaking, unable to understand how they tracked him through his specialized escape skill. The man explains that Death has a very refined sense of smell. It can track the scent of death itself that follows people like him. He tips his hat and introduces himself. This is Charles, better known as the Hound. The assassin begs for mercy, but Charles isn't the forgiving type. He doesn't care about pleas. He mentions that Mr. Kinoshita is already in a bad mood, and besides, his wolf hasn't had a good meal in way too long. Charles gives the signal, and Death goes back for the finishing bite. It's mealtime. The wolf levels up after the kill. Its status screen pops up. It's a B-rank Death Hound, level 16, with a skill for detecting magic traces. Charles's phone starts ringing as soon as the job is done. He picks up, looking completely bored. He's shocked to hear that Oga was actually injured. He agrees to come take care of the situation immediately. He tells Death to get ready, they've got some fresh prey to track down. Itsuki and Choha arrive at the entrance to the locust wasteland. It looks like a massive, futuristic dome sitting in the middle of a golden wheat field. Itsuki looks out over the endless fields, wondering if there are really as many bugs here as Choha claimed. Choha explains that disaster beasts are drawn to specific environments. Predicting the beast type based on the landscape is a fundamental hunter skill. Itsuki notices there isn't even a reception desk here. Choha tells him it's because this stage is so dangerous it's already been scheduled for dismantlement. He's confused. If the monsters are only level 13, why is it considered so high risk that they're shutting it down? She explains that the locusts here are incredibly aggressive and their numbers are just sheer insanity. She warns him that if he slips up even for a second, the swarm will surround him and devour him whole. The ground is littered with the remains of those who failed, picked clean right down to the bone. Instead of being intimidated, Itsuki just thinks it sounds like the perfect training ground. Choha thinks he must have a death wish. He tells her he isn't exactly in a hurry to be eaten by bugs, but he's not backing down either. He turns and walks straight into the blue swirling portal, leaving her behind at the entrance. Choha watches him go, trying to convince herself that she did her part by giving him the warnings. If something happens, it's on him. Suddenly, her eyes go wide as she realizes she forgot to mention the most important part. The locust will keep spawning forever unless he finds and kills the boss. She has to go after him. As she turns around to head back to the portal, she stops dead. A tall shadow is standing right behind her. Charles smiles down at her with those glowing red eyes, casually mentioning that he's looking for someone. Inside the stage, Itsuki looks around at the barren wasteland. What a mess, he mutters to himself. He cracks his knuckles, looking completely unfazed. It's time for some pest control. Itsuki finds himself in a dry, cracked wasteland. There's nothing in sight but an old, tattered scarecrow and the low buzzing of insects in the distance. He scans the locusts and sees they're only levels 1 and 2. They're basically fodder, but they meet the conditions for his Lotus Burst skill perfectly. This is going to be a field day. Suddenly, the sky darkens as thousands of locusts swarm together. It's a literal wall of insects. What an incredible number, he exclaims. But instead of being worried, Itsuki smirks. A giant, glowing flower of fire begins to bloom in his palm. This massive swarm actually works in his favor. He figures that the more they cluster together, the less work he has to do. Once they enter his range, he can wipe them all out at once. Now, he shouts, slamming the fiery lotus into the center of the swarm. A massive vortex of heat and light erupts. The explosion is blinding. Locusts are disintegrated instantly as the fire sweeps through the sky. System notifications start flooding in. Every single locust he defeats increases his skill range by 1%. After just one blast, his range has already spiked. He does the math. 110 kills means a 10% increase. His Lotus Burst now has a 10.5-meter diameter. Not bad, he thinks. He checks his magic levels. Using only 10% power is enough for these low-level beasts. He estimates he can fire off 10 more shots, which would increase his range by a massive 1,000%. But then he notices something strange. The notification for completing the stage hasn't appeared yet. It should have been over after that mass extinction. His analysis skill detects a C-rank ability called Mother's Will nearby. He realizes he was wrong. The challenge isn't over. He senses movement. "There's still a survivor," he shouts, looking around as more buzzing fills the air. A new swarm, even larger than the first, begins to circle him in a giant cyclone of wings and teeth. He realizes Mother's Will must be a boss skill. He admits he got cocky thinking there wasn't a boss in this wasteland. Now he has to find it. He decides to keep using Lotus Burst. Even if he can't see the boss, expanding his range is the only way to flush it out. He unleashes another massive explosion. More notifications stream in, pushing his range bonus to 220%. His skill range has now expanded to a 16-meter diameter. He's impressed with the effectiveness, but the real target is still hiding. He's wiped out another massive group of small fries, yet the boss is still nowhere to be seen. He stares into the smoke, frustrated. Suddenly, more locusts start crawling out of holes in the ground and hatching from sacks. They're literally spawning right in front of him. His analysis of the Mother's Will skill slowly ticks up to 27%. He needs to buy more time. His magic is dropping. He calculates he has about 9 shots left. It's a race against his own energy levels. He gets into a fighting stance, fire swirling around his arms. No matter how many times you appear, I'll thoroughly. He starts a rapid-fire sequence of Lotus Bursts. The wasteland is rocked by explosion after explosion. The skill range keeps climbing. Plus 990%. It's now covering a 54.5-meter diameter. He's turning the entire field into a crater. He checks his stats again. His magic is down to 50 out of 280. He's only got 1 shot left. He looks out at the horizon, but the swarm is still as thick as ever. It's like he hasn't even made a dent. Damn, there's no end. He stands alone in the middle of the swarm, breathing heavily. The boss still hasn't shown its face. He briefly considers withdrawing and coming back after the analysis is complete, but he quickly dismisses the thought. That's what third-raters do, he thinks, a determined look in his eyes. He's not a quitter. His power flares up again. No matter how many disaster beasts there are, I'll defeat them all, he declares. He drops to one knee, concentrating every ounce of his remaining magic. He's pushing himself to the absolute limit. The swarm is still coming, but his analysis progress has finally hit 91%. He's almost there. He notices a pattern. All the locusts that keep appearing are small level 1 hatchlings. It clicks. The boss's ability is infinite reproduction. He sees the massive queen locust laying eggs at an incredible rate. She's the one controlling the whole swarm. The system finally completes the analysis of the queen locust. Level 13, C-rank, Mother's Will skill. His progress hits 99%. Analysis 100% complete. He successfully acquires the magic detection skill. A blue wave of energy pulses out from him. Because of his massive Lotus Burst range bonus, his detection skill now covers over 1,000 meters. Plus, he recovers 10% magic for every enemy he detects. Perfect. Itsuki lets out a confident laugh. The tide of battle just turned completely in his favor. He wants to wrap this up quickly. He's already kept Choha waiting long enough at the entrance. It's time to finish this stage. The system informs him that acquiring the new skill gave him a 10-point boost to all stats and a full heal. He's back to 100%. He stands on a pillar of rock, activating his detection skill. Concentric circles of energy pulse through the air as he pinpoints the queen's location. She can't hide anymore. Itsuki aims his fingers like a barrel, a chilling smile playing on his lips. His blue eyes glow with a cold intensity as he locks onto his target. He unleashes a vortex of dark, jagged energy. Even if you try to use your children as shields, he mutters, watching the swarm try to intercept his attack. He fires a brilliant fiery lotus. Thanks to his passive range boosts and the clear orb's momentum, the projectile travels over 120 meters, closing in on the boss. The Golden Queen Locust screeches in terror, trying to take flight and escape the expanding blast radius. Before she can flee, Itsuki appears right behind her, his body wreathed in crackling blue electricity and sharp crystalline energy. He's faster than she ever anticipated. Looking the monster dead in the eye, he delivers the final blow with a single, cold word. Checkmate. His strike cleaves through the queen, spraying green ichor across the wasteland. Without their leader to guide them, the remaining locusts fall into a state of total chaos. Itsuki stands amidst the carnage, his silhouette dark against the blinding light of the clearing swarm. The stage is finally under his control. He charges one last burst of flame into his gauntlet. Don't worry, he says to the lingering stragglers, I'll send you to Mama right away. The system displays his final stats. Lotus Burst has reached level 2, with a staggering range increase of over 1,200%. He has become a walking disaster. Itsuki kneels down to collect his loot, satisfied with the run. He's already planning his next attempt to push his passive effects even higher. As he walks toward the exit portal, the timer shows 17 minutes. He realizes he's been inside much longer than expected and starts to worry about Choha. He imagines her waiting impatiently for him, acting all aloof like she always does. He can't help but find her stubbornness a little bit cute. He steps through the blue light of the portal with a friendly wave. "I'm back. Sorry for worrying." His voice trails off as he looks up. His eyes widen in shock. The playful greeting dies in his throat as a wave of cold fury washes over him. Before him, a man in a brown trench coat and hat, Charles is holding a bloody and battered Choha by the throat. "You're the guy Reiji is looking for, right?" Charles asks with a terrifyingly casual smile. Charles holds Choha captive, admitting he was waiting for Itsuki to show up. Itsuki tells him to get his hands off her if he wants to stay in one piece. Charles just laughs, mocking the kid for being a level 0 rookie. Itsuki doesn't waste any more words and lunges forward with blue lightning trailing behind him. Surprised by the speed, Charles calls out for his B-rank Shikigami, Death. The massive hound blocks the path as Itsuki's overmimesis skill begins the analysis. Itsuki identifies the summon and realizes he's dealing with a professional Shikigami user. Charles notes that the kid's movements are way too efficient to be a beginner's. Despite the speed, the mercenary is still holding a bleeding Choha hostage. Itsuki sees her struggling, and his expression turns even colder. The hound snaps its jaws at him, lunging with lethal intent. Charles brags that the dog's bite force can crush anyone with a defense stat below 30. Itsuki manifests a blue lotus energy to meet the attack head-on. The impact sends a shockwave through the beast's massive frame. Itsuki shakes off the debris as his analysis progress hits 77%. Charles is baffled that a supposed rookie is holding his own so easily. The hound regenerates almost instantly thanks to its high-rank respawn skill. It goes for another strike as Charles warns Itsuki he's just becoming prey. Itsuki triggers magic detection to track the beast's magical flow. He dodges every lunge while the analysis counter climbs past 90%. He's focused on finishing the scan without exposing his trump card too early. Frustration sets in for Charles as he realizes his surprise attacks are completely failing. He tightens his grip on Choha's throat, threatening to kill her if Itsuki keeps resisting. The system confirms the analysis is complete, granting him the Shikigami Eater skill. Itsuki is satisfied he pulled it off without drawing too much attention. His stats jump up across the board, giving him a massive power boost. He realizes the new skill allows him to take full ownership of someone else's summon. As the hound lunges again, a chilling aura surrounds Itsuki's hand. He shouts that the dog belongs to him now and reaches out. Physical contact is made, and the ownership transfer begins immediately. Itsuki delivers a kick that sends the beast flying back toward the mercenary. Charles is livid, screaming at his summon for being a useless waste of experience. He goes back to his hostage, vowing to snap her neck if Itsuki moves an inch. Choha tells him to forget about her, even as she coughs up blood. Itsuki raises his hands in surrender, telling Charles to just leave her out of this. Thinking he's won, the mercenary smirks and says she wouldn't have suffered if he'd just obeyed. Itsuki asks why he's even being targeted in the first place. Charles reveals he was sent by Kinoshita Reiji, who's furious about the unauthorized stage entry. The mention of Reiji confirms for Itsuki that he needs to deal with the noble directly. Charles promises he'll meet the boss soon, but only after his legs are torn off. He points at Itsuki and orders the hound to cripple him for good. Itsuki's eyes lock onto the beast as he gives his first order as its new master. Itsuki holds Choha close as the battle ends, with the hound standing protectively in front of them. Sparks of blue energy still crackle around him while he checks on the injured girl. Charles screams in terror, unable to believe his own summon is turning against him. Death growls at its former master, its eyes glowing with a newfound loyalty to Itsuki. Itsuki tells the mercenary he's going to return all the pain Choha suffered 100 times over. Desperate for his life, Charles offers to betray his boss, Reiji, if Itsuki lets him go. Itsuki looks down coldly, considering the pathetic offer for just a second. Charles thinks he's found a way out and starts to smirk, hoping his cowardice will save him. But Itsuki shuts him down, stating he's more than capable of handling Reiji on his own. He gives the final command to the hound. It's time for Charles to get a taste of his own medicine. Charles blubbers out a useless apology, begging for just one more chance. The massive beast doesn't hesitate and lunges at the man who used to call himself its master. Charles cries out, reminding the dog of all the times he fed it, but it's too late for sentiment. The hound's jaws snap shut, ending the mercenary's career once and for all. Itsuki starts walking away with Choha, but he stops when he realizes they aren't alone. He calls out into the tall grass, demanding the person hiding there show themselves. From the shadows of the nearby structure, a hooded figure has been watching the entire exchange. The stranger steps out into the open, admitting he's been caught. Itsuki immediately goes on the defensive, asking if this new guy is another one of Reiji's goons. The blonde boy quickly raises his hands, sweating as he insists he isn't an enemy. Itsuki doesn't have time for games, and tells the dog to follow him once it's finished its meal. The stranger, Iberia, is amazed that anyone could tame a mad dog like that and thinks he's found the help he needs. He introduces himself and mentions he saw Itsuki take down Oga Takuru earlier. Iberia begs for a hand, offering up karma stones or even a weapon as payment for the assistance. Itsuki keeps walking, completely ignoring the desperate offers for treasure. Iberia sighs, remembering his father's lesson that the best compensation requires a bit of creativity. He knows that for someone seeking revenge, you offer a blade, but for the injured, you offer a cure. A light bulb goes off in his head as he realizes what Itsuki actually needs right now. He shouts after him, pointing out that the nearest hospital is way too far for Choha to survive the trip. He pulls out a glowing medical scroll, revealing that he happens to have some high-level healing items. That finally gets Itsuki to stop in his tracks when Iberia claims he can save the girl. Itsuki turns back with a skeptical look, wanting to know if the kid is actually serious. Iberia smirks, confident that he's finally caught the protagonist's interest. They lay Choha down, and Iberia starts applying rare bandages made from Shadow Tribe silk and Kodama bark. Itsuki has never heard of a karma tool before, which makes Iberia realize he's dealing with a total rookie. He explains that regular guns are useless against disaster beasts, which is why special gear is a must. These items are called karma tools, and they're ranked into 4 tiers based on the materials and the crafter's skill. At the bottom are normal tools, which are basically just high-quality standard weapons like this longsword. Then you have rare and epic tiers, which start boosting stats and adding special effects like absorbing blood. The absolute pinnacle are unique karma tools, which grant massive power and one-of-a-kind abilities. Because only a few people can forge these, crafters are some of the most respected people in the world. When Itsuki asks if his father is one, Iberia reveals his old man is one of only 10 elite crafters on the planet. Iberia proudly mentions that 3 of the world's finest tools were crafted by his own father. He reveals that in the northern continent, his father is revered as the legendary crafter king. The boy becomes flustered when he realizes that Itsuki isn't even paying attention to his boasting. Itsuki is far more interested in the specialized crossbow he scavenged from the defeated mercenary, Charles. Iberia is baffled that his prestigious lineage doesn't seem to faze the stoic protagonist at all. He explains that the rare Great Hunter's crossbow can convert ordinary ammo into powerful karma projectiles. Itsuki watches as the weapon pixelates and disappears, now successfully linked to his personal inventory. After thanking the boy for treating Choha, Itsuki states his intent to hunt down Kinoshita Reiji. Iberia is stunned to hear that this lone warrior is planning to defy the most powerful family in North District 4. A glimmer of excitement crosses Iberia's face as he realizes they both have the same target in their sights. He makes a bold proposal, asking Itsuki to team up with him for the national tournament preliminaries. Iberia notes that the tournament is being held right in the heart of Reiji's territory. Kinoshita Reiji is the son of an administrator, and failing to reach the top 10 would be a massive disgrace to his family. Itsuki looks at the boy skeptically, wondering why someone with his status would ever partner with a level 0. Iberia simply points out that his instincts tell him Itsuki is the strongest ally he could possibly find. Itsuki asks why the boy is so fixated on competing this year specifically when he has plenty of time in the future. Iberia recalls his childhood, spent in awe as his father forged masterpieces that were works of art. His greatest dream was to become an awakened and fight alongside his father's legendary creations. However, when he finally awakened a month ago, his father strictly told him he wasn't ready to handle such power. After much begging, his father set a challenge: pass this year's tournament preliminaries, and he'd earn a tool. This is why Iberia is so determined to win. It's his only path to proving his worth as a savior. Itsuki still finds it strange that a crafter's son is having such a hard time finding a team. His father forbade him from using their family name to recruit allies, wanting him to rely on his own skills. With Reiji buying off all the top prospects, Iberia was left searching for a lone wolf with enough power to disrupt the balance. He admits he dug deep for info on the man who broke stage records and defeated Oga Takaru. Itsuki agrees to the duo, but only after they ensure Choha is safely admitted to a hospital. Iberia immediately gets carried away, listing off a series of increasingly ridiculous names for their new team. Itsuki sighs, realizing that this kid might be even more of a chatterbox than his old friend Rikuru. Meanwhile, in a training ground, Harino Rikuru is focused on honing his elemental metal skills. He pauses his practice, wondering if someone out there is currently talking behind his back. Kisaragi Saya looks contemplative, admitting that she's been worried about Itsuki ever since they were separated. Rikuru teases her about her concern, but she quickly deflects by getting back into a fighting stance. She suddenly unleashes a surge of water energy, catching Rikuru off guard with her speed. Rikuru barely manages to brace himself, shouting that a sudden attack during a conversation is totally unfair. Their instructor, Izumi Nento, arrives and sternly tells them it's time to stop fooling around. Saya is at level 11 now, and both she and Rikuru are eager to test their growth in the coming tournament. Elsewhere, a case filled with powerful karma stones is open for Kinoshita Reiji to inspect. Reiji's frustration grows as he notes that Charles is unusually late for their scheduled meeting. He loses his temper, crushing a high-grade stone in his fist to force an experience point gain. Reiji knows that the preliminaries are his only priority. Failure would lead to a harsh punishment from his father. He asks his subordinate for an update on the number of participants they have coerced into helping him. The man confirms they have nearly 90 high-level collaborators ready, which brings a cruel smile to Reiji's face. After consuming the concentrated energy of the Karma Stones, a system notification confirms that Reiji has successfully achieved a level up. Reiji basks in the crackling electrical energy of his lightning gift, confident that at level 12, he has more than enough power to crush any commoner who stands in his way. Itsuki stands ready as a surge of energy pulses around him. He looks down, feeling responsible for Choha's condition. The commander offers to take care of the culprit himself, but Itsuki isn't interested in help. He wants to settle this his way. The masked man agrees, but he wants the full story later. Iberia can't believe Itsuki was trained by the commander-in-chief. He's already thinking about getting an autograph. Back at the hospital, Itsuki tells Choha he's entering the tournament with Iberia. She's feeling much better, mostly thanks to the treatment from Iberia's rare tool. The commander recognizes the bandage as a creation of Aiden, the Crafter King. Realizing his father's reputation preceded him, Iberia tries to act the part of a dignified heir. He gives a confident thumbs up, convinced he's made a great impression. The room goes silent. Itsuki has to break it to him. He's got the family tree totally backwards. Iberia dies of embarrassment while correcting himself. Clearing his throat, the commander thanks them for saving his daughter and plans a visit to Iberia's father. He sends the boys off to get ready for tomorrow's matches. Iberia's all fired up, promising they'll definitely make it through the preliminaries. Once they leave, Choha notes how much her father seems to like Itsuki. The commander reveals that Itsuki's trauma gives him dangerous, self-destructive impulses when fighting disaster beasts. Those dark urges only quiet down when he has someone nearby to protect. That's exactly why the commander put Choha by his side in the first place. Choha realizes her role is to be the anchor that keeps him stable. The news gets worse. The school attack was no accident, and more humans are siding with the beasts. Looking out at the city, the commander sees a dark path ahead for humanity. But he's betting everything on Itsuki becoming the light they need. Cut to the massive arena for the North District 4 preliminaries. The crowd has swelled to 5,000 people, all hoping for a glimpse of the legendary Izumi Nento. Kinoshita Reiji is annoyed. All these extra participants are just more variables he didn't account for. He's got his own army identified by red ribbons, while Itsuki and Iberia blend into the massive crowd. The host, Shinshihara Soryu, steps up to the mic to lay out the rules. The arena is split into two zones, an external staging area and the internal goal. Only the first 50 to reach the internal area advance. Their rank will be tracked by their bracelets. Some participants are already sweating over the low survival rate of the first round. Soryu tells them to use any means necessary. Iberia spots Reiji in the crowd. Reiji isn't even trying to hide it. He's ordering his hired goons to sabotage anyone ahead of him. Iberia suggests they lay low and launch a surprise attack once Reiji lets his guard down. He turns around to see Itsuki is already gone. Itsuki has walked straight up to the Red Ribbon Squad. They aren't exactly welcoming. The signal sounds, and the first stage officially kicks off with a massive stampede. Watching from above, Soryu notes that quantity doesn't mean much without quality. Heightened Akira, a high-level spectator, finds the current crop of rookies pretty boring. He recalls the monsters from his own rookie year, like the level 21 genius Tewa Jin. Soryu tells him not to hold his breath. Geniuses like that only come around once in a century. Akira asked Soryu about the rumor of a student who took down a level 8 skeleton right after awakening. Soryu confirms it's true, much to Akira's disbelief. Akira wonders if that student is actually among the current participants. Soryu flips through his tablet, trying to identify the standout talent. He considers Harina Rikuru, a level 10 metal elementalist, but dismisses him as too ordinary. Next up is Kisaragi Saya, but as a support-oriented water elementalist, she doesn't fit the bill either. Then there's Hanyu Kana, a level 16 wood elementalist and the highest level participant in the group. Soryu thinks it might be her, even though the levels don't quite match the legend. Akira notices a level 0 on the list and scoffs, assuming they're just there for curiosity before getting thrashed. Down in the arena, Kinoshita Reiji and his crew are busy mocking the level 0 kid in front of them. Itsuki stands his ground, a sleek karma tool ready on his arm. Reiji recognizes the gear as Charles's and demands to know who Itsuki really is. Itsuki just stares him down, noting that Reiji has been hunting for him this whole time. Reiji refuses to believe a level 0 trash could beat Oga, figuring Itsuki is just a plant sent to rattle him. Losing his patience, Reiji orders his goons to take Itsuki down. Itsuki doesn't look impressed. He's got no time to waste on trash like them. The crew moves in, circling their target like vultures. Akira watches from the stands, noting the levels and suggesting the kid beg for his life before he's crushed. Iberia starts sweating. Even for Itsuki, 4-on-1 seems like a tall order. He reaches for his bag, deciding he has no choice but to break out his secret weapon to help. One of the elite fighters keeps the insults coming, calling Itsuki the lowest level of trash he's ever seen. Itsuki just gives him one simple command, move. The elite's face twists in annoyance at the kid's audacity. He breaks out into a hysterical laugh, thinking the situation is absurd. He actually likes the attitude, which makes what he's about to do more fun. The armored fighter lunges forward, promising to crack open Itsuki's head. A split second later, a heavy fist connects with the guy's face, sending teeth and blood flying. Itsuki stands over his fallen opponent, eyes glowing with a cold light. The spectators are stunned. A level 0 just one-shot someone 7 levels higher. Honda, the fire elementalist, tries to keep his cool, telling the others it was just a lucky surprise hit. He unleashes his B-rank flamethrower at full output to end things quickly. A massive wall of fire erupts, moving so fast Iberia doesn't even have time to react. The goons watch the inferno, thinking it's total overkill for a level 0. But then the flames start to part, and they realize something is very wrong. Itsuki's black wall has manifested as sharp shards that split the fire wide open. Iberia grins, relieved that his friend is exactly as strong as he expected. Itsuki tells Honda to back off while he checks his stats. His system shows a 10% defense boost, and he starts wondering if the effect stacks. Honda is losing it, terrified that a non-water elementalist is using what looks like ice skills. Itsuki invites him to try the same technique again, but this time he promises not to block. Honda thinks he's being made fun of, and gets Itsuki to promise a second time. Enraged, Honda unleashes his strongest move, Flamethrower, overheat, engulfing Itsuki in a massive pillar of fire. Itsuki analyzes the incoming attack, noting it's more powerful but still fundamentally a fire skill. Honda looks on, surprised that Itsuki is actually bracing for the hit. Exhausted from the effort, Honda thinks this final blast will surely end the farce. But as the smoke clears, Honda is left gaping in total shock. Itsuki realizes that his passive defense skill doesn't stack if it's the same move from the same person. He stands perfectly fine amidst the smoldering ground, much to the horror of his attackers. While Honda falls back in despair, another goon steps up, claiming he's spotted Itsuki's weakness. The new opponent prepares a B-rank fire barrage to overwhelm Itsuki's defenses. Itsuki activates Black Wall again as a flurry of fireballs rains down on him. The goon mocks him, thinking a level 0's mana will run dry if they just keep attacking. Amidst the chaos of the explosions, Itsuki moves with blinding speed. He closes the distance in a heartbeat, confirming that the passive only refreshed once during the barrage. The goon tries to counter with a heavy physical blow, banking on his superior power. Itsuki stares him down with cold eyes, unimpressed by the effort. With a single swift strike of his reinforced arm, Itsuki sends the brute crashing to the ground. His system reveals that the defense boost is calculated from his base stats, not the current enhanced ones. Itsuki turns his attention to the remaining lightning users, hoping to farm some extra passive resistance. The two goons are terrified, realizing Itsuki's level 0 status must be a complete lie. Cornered, they lash out with lightning, desperate to prove that fire wasn't the only way to hurt him. From the stands, Akira watches with growing fascination as the supposed rookie dominates the field. The lightning goon is baffled by Itsuki's resilience as he stands tall through the electrical discharge. Itsuki confirms that the Thunderbreaker passive behaves exactly like his Black Wall defense. Iberia looks around at the trail of unconscious bodies, impressed by the quick work. He admits he didn't expect Itsuki to be this overwhelmingly powerful. Honda, still trembling on the ground, demands to know who this monster actually is. Iberia leans in with a mischievous glint in his eye, confusing Itsuki by referring to them as a team. With a flashy smile, Iberia declares they are the duo Double I, future legends of the continent. Itsuki isn't interested in the theatrics and drags Iberia along to continue their hunt for Kinoshita. Left in the dust, Honda can only comment on how incredibly lame that team name sounds. Somewhere else in the arena, Kinoshita Reiji smirks, assuming Itsuki has already been dealt with. He's more preoccupied with the fact that Charles was captured and plans to investigate that mystery later. He watches dispassionately as his own competitors are launched into the air by elemental traps. One speed-specialized participant thinks he can outrun the danger and pass the stage ahead of everyone. He's immediately struck down by a violent burst of purple lightning. The runner is slammed into the earth, pinned down by the sheer weight of Kinoshita's power. Kinoshita stands over the fallen man, wreathed in lightning and warning others not to get ahead of themselves. He orders his followers to stop wasting time on trash and focus on reaching the next stage. Watching from the observation room, Choha and Soryu discuss Kinoshita's arrogant display of power. Kinoshita is pleased that his strategy of letting others clear the path has kept his stamina high. He feels confident that the second stage of the tournament will be a walk in the park. Arriving at the barrier to the internal area, he remarks on how easy the journey has been so far. But his confidence is interrupted as a bolt of lightning heralds the arrival of a new challenger. Kinoshita turns around in annoyance, demanding to know who has the audacity to call him by his name. The surrounding crowd gasps in disbelief as they recognize the level 0 rookie who has somehow caught up. Tenma Itsuki stands firm in the pouring rain, his cold expression fixed on his target. Kinoshita is momentarily stunned, unable to fathom how his group of henchmen could have been defeated by a rookie. A sneer curls Kinoshita's lip as he convinces himself that Itsuki must have used bribery to bypass the guards. He mockingly asks how much further a piece of trash like Itsuki intends to follow him. Claiming he is far too busy for such a trivial matter, Kinoshita turns his back on them. With a murderous glint in his eye, he commands his elite guard to step forward and take him out. A massive mob of over 100 armed fighters surrounds Itsuki and Iberia, taunting their lowly ranks. Iberia breaks into a cold sweat, counting the sheer number of enemies and wondering how they will possibly survive. Itsuki remains perfectly calm, pulling Iberia back and telling him to simply keep his head down. A deafening explosion of blue lightning suddenly tears through the air, erupting from Itsuki's position. Before anyone can react, Itsuki's hand shoots out, grabbing a startled Kinoshita firmly by the neck. Moving with blinding speed, Itsuki has ignored the entire army to strike directly at the core of the problem. Iberia can only watch in total bewilderment, struggling to comprehend the impossible feat he just witnessed. Itsuki stands face to face with the arrogant noble, declaring that he intends to correct their earlier misunderstanding. With a look of absolute determination, Itsuki makes it clear that no one is leaving until their business is settled. Even you who watches the video, you have to subscribe and leave a like on the video, or you won't get any bitches.